In this video, I will be explaining how to transform in Photoshop. So without wasting much time, let's get right into it. Okay, so in order to start transforming, first you click on either Ctrl or Command T, depending on whether you are using Windows or Mac. So when you click Ctrl or Command T, you realize you now have the option to start transforming your image. Or if you don't want to use if you can't remember the shortcut as well, all you do is you come up here to edit and then you click on it, then you come down to transform, and then here you can either choose to scale, rotate, skew, or whichever of these options. You understand them later on in this video, so make sure to stay to the end. Or you can come here and then click free transform, and then you get all the transform options you have when you click Ctrl or Command T. Now when you have your transform here, you can enlarge your image with any of these points here. You can make it smaller with any of the 6 points you have around your image, and then with what this one does is it keeps your aspect ratio. So if it's 4 by 5, it's going to keep your aspect ratio the same. But if you want to change the aspect ratio, you can click shift whilst you transform, and you realize it switches your image. It can stretch out your image, it can change the aspect ratio of your image. So just click shift and then you can change the aspect ratio. In order to rotate your image, just bring the pointer out, and then you realize that the pointer turns into this curve point, and then when you move it, you realize you can rotate your image around. You can rotate your image around any way you want as well. And to rotate it by 15 degrees, just click shift, and then you realize right now it's 0 degrees, and when I rotate it's 15 degrees, 30 degrees, 45, in that order. So that's how you rotate it by 15 degrees as well. Just click shift and you have the 15 degrees rotation. You can as well flip your image around. So to flip it, just right click, and then you have two options here to flip it horizontally or vertically. So if I click flip horizontal, you realize our image is now flipped horizontally, and if we click flip vertical, you see now the image has been flipped vertically, and now the bottom side is on top. Now you may have noticed that whenever we rotate our image, it always rotates from this particular point, and there is something located there called an anchor point, and that's why our image is always rotating from that particular point. So right now we don't see our anchor point here. So in order to bring your anchor point, just come up here and then make sure this box is checked. So once our box is checked, you can see that we have the anchor point right here. So you see when we rotate, it rotates from that point. And even when you want to resize from that particular point, just click Alt or Option on Windows or Mac, and then when you resize, you realize your image resizes from that particular point. And this point can also be moved. So you may ask, what if I want to rotate my image from a different point? All you do is click on the anchor point and then you drag it to the desired point. So if you put the anchor point here, now when we rotate, it rotates from where our anchor point is now located. You can move the anchor point even outside of the box, and when you rotate, it rotates from that particular point. When you click Alt and Shift as well, it scales right on that point. If you don't want to drag your anchor point in order to move it, all you do is click Alt or Option and then click wherever you want to move your anchor point. So when you click Alt or Option, you realize it moves wherever you want as well. There are also presets for moving your anchor points, and you find them up here. So for example, right now the anchor point is in the middle, so you see it's here. When you click the top right, you see our anchor point moves to the top right, and when we click here, it moves to the top left. When we click here, it comes to the bottom right, and just like that, you can move your anchor point as well. Now it doesn't end there. You have more options for transforming your image. So when you right click on your image, you have, for example, the option to rotate your image 180 degrees, and you realize it does almost the same function as the flipping vertical. So you realize it rotates 180 degrees, and when we click rotate 90 degrees clockwise, it does that as well. Rotate 90 degrees counterclockwise, it does that as well. And also you have these options here like scale. Scaling is basically enlarging and making your image smaller in that way. So that's basically what scale does. And you know what rotate also does. We use it to rotate our image. And then there's also another option like skew. And when you click on skew, you realize this is how it does your image. It makes your image skew in a particular way. So what you can use this option for to do, for example, is, let's say maybe we have a wall or maybe a ground, like you are creating an image and maybe you want to paint this car image on that ground. You can just skew your image, and then what you align it with maybe the floor, and then what you can make it look like a painting on that floor. So that's what skew also does. And then you have your distort, and distort also does something similar to skew, but this one, it pulls the image from all sides as you distort. So that's what distortion also looks like. You can distort from whatever point you want, and it's going to distort in that form. So that's what distorting that's how distorting also looks like. We also have perspective. So if you are creating an image in a perspective form, you can use perspective. You realize now, as I use the perspective, you see our image looks like it's moving towards that direction. So it's bigger here and then it's smaller over there. So that's basically what perspective also does. It puts your image in the form of perspective. So you realize perspective wise, this side is big, the right side is bigger, and then this left side is big. So that's the basic thing perspective what the perspective also does. And then we have down here we have warp as well. And what warp does is it gives your image this texture, like kind of like a gum or something like that, and you can warp your image to look any way you want. So you can just warp it, make it look out of shape completely. So depending on what you are creating, you might want to warp your image in a particular style you want. So right now our image shape, when somebody gives you this image and you see it, you might not recognize that it was even a car. So that's basically what warp also does. So you will understand how to use these options when you are creating your image, when you are creating your project, and then you input it into your style how you also like. So those are basically very easy ways to do your transforming. If you made it to the end of this video, kindly consider subscribing, because I post videos just like this every week, and also subscribing helps this channel a lot. Till we meet again, keep creating, and I'll see you another time.